Hello and welcome to the Collecting Heroes podcast. I'm your host, JD, the collector of collectors, and this is the show where I interview pop culture collectors from around the world. Today, I'm going back to Ohio, which I was there just not long ago with another guest. Today, I'm going there to make the chimichangas with my next guest. His name is Roy, and he is a Deadpool collector. Roy, thank you for being on the show today.
I'm glad to be here.
Mate, I'm really happy to have you here. Real timely, actually, that you accepted being on the show, and I reached out and said I'd love to have you on here because they've just had the announcement recently for Deadpool 3, the movie.
Yes.
Really excited having Wolverine come in there. Everyone's been saying it for years with all the movies, like when are we going to get Hugh Jackman? Are they going to get Hugh Jackman in? And all the in jokes that they've had throughout the other movies. So it's really cool to actually see that. Were you excited when you saw the news?
Excited does not explain it. I was actually at work when the notification for the video popped up on my phone, and I started like jumping up and down. I had to like call my girlfriend. I had to like call some of my coworkers that are also way into a lot of Marvel stuff, and we were all just for like a solid hour just all collectively excited for this news.
Wow. Yeah, no, I was very excited too when I saw the video. I said to my girlfriend, same thing. I'm like, man, like we gotta get it. You gotta watch this. You gotta watch this with me, and got really excited and watched it with her. Before we actually get too far into the movies and the lore of Deadpool and that sort of thing, the way I always start these episodes off is to sort of find out a little bit about you. Now, age-wise, I'm guessing that you may have been born roughly around the 90s. Am I right?
Yep. 96 actually.
Okay, so you've actually, like, Deadpool's been around for longer than you have, yeah, because
Yep.
he actually had his first appearance in '91. Uh, are you someone who grew up, like, you started reading the comics when you were young, or was it a movie thing for you, where you? A lot of people these days, I think, are Deadpool fans because of the movie.
Actually, the funny thing is what introduced me to Deadpool was X-Men Origins, the bad version of Deadpool that we talk about. And basically the concept of Ryan Reynolds before they did the mutations, where he was slicing the bullets in that scene, that caught my attention a lot, and I wanted to figure out who this character was. And when I found out it was a man dressed in all red, breaking the fourth wall, had a motor mouth. It just really caught my attention. Soon after they announced the first movie, the little clip got quote unquote leaked.
Hmm.
And then I didn't actually start reading the comics until this year.
Wow. And what do you think of the comics now? Like, you've been getting into them.
It's so fascinating having read them throughout the years and see Deadpool's characters slowly start to build, and
Hmm.
also how pop culture has even changed the character in some aspects from like him not really referencing it to that much to now him just straight up quoting movies and pointing to Spider-Man and being like, I preferred Tobey Maguire over Tom Holland or something like that. And I've just really enjoyed seeing that journey throughout the comics and how they've adapted to the movies coming out.
Definitely, definitely. I noticed that when I went back and actually, because I probably became more of a fan through the movies. I knew of Deadpool. I'd seen Deadpool in other pop culture stuff along the way, but I hadn't read the comics. And then after the first movie came out, I went and bought one of the trade paperbacks of the earlier stuff. And reading that, his character, yeah, like you said, it's so different when he comes in. I believe it's New Mutants as well, is the first comic appearance in '91, and
Yep.
his appearance there, he sort of is a bit wisecracking still, but not in the same vein, and I don't think he's doing the fourth wall breaks and things like that either. Straight off the bat.
Yeah, no. His first introduction, he was just a straight up mercenary. He
Hmm.
talked a lot. He threw around a bland joke here and there, but yeah, his first appearance was pretty boring. That uh, I'm I'm pleasantly surprised that people stuck to his character, and now we have the Deadpool that we have today.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, going through the different writers over the years, they've changed and evolved him. And as you said, pop culture itself, he's kind of evolved to fit certain parts of pop culture. And going back to what you said about the quote unquote leak of the test footage that they had from the first one, I thought that was amazing. I remember when I saw that, and I would talk about getting excited for Wolverine. I just remember how excited I got because I've been reading articles for year on year about that they were trying to make a Deadpool movie, that Ryan Reynolds, after the X Men Origins of Wolverine, he came out and said he wanted to do a Wolverine, no, sorry, a Deadpool movie, because he
Yeah.
wanted to really do something for the character that was more, more on point with what the comics were, and really wanted to, pay it the respect that he felt like it didn't get, and I think most people would agree that it didn't get in that first version. So it was really exciting when I
Yes.
saw that test footage, and I was like, okay, this could be real. Like this could be really real. But as we said, quote unquote leak. It was seemed like from what I've read, a bit of a ploy to either get people excited for the movie, and maybe they were already had an agreement with the with Marvel Entertainment, or really they just did it because they thought once it gets out into the stratosphere, people are going to make this happen.
My little theory is the man who definitely does not play the character, Ryan Reynolds himself, was trying to get the movie greenlit. And I think that maybe either he or maybe a friend of his was like, hey, maybe we can get this out there and just try and convince Fox. Kind of like how we bullied Sonic into not looking like a weird rat character.
Oh, that
I
was
think that
really bad. I remember.
I think that Ryan Reynolds just basically forced Fox into letting him have his Deadpool movie, and he was not having it any other way.
That's right, because it
And I
was
love it.
Fox to start with. Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
And seeing a Marvel character after watching the different Marvel phases that we had through from starting from Iron Man back in 2008, and how family friendly a lot of that had become, and fun, and cookie cutter, because obviously Marvel being owned by Disney as well, having that flexibility to do what he did in that first movie was amazing. Actually, my girlfriend and I went and watched it in the cinemas because they released it on Valentine's Day. It was a Valentine's date night movie. Did you do the
Yep.
same thing?
Yes. Yes. I actually saw it a couple times that weekend.
And what was your thoughts like when you first saw that movie? Like you said, you saw it a couple times. What was your initial reaction coming out of the cinema? Do you remember?
It's funny because the within the first like 5, 10 minutes of the movie, I leaned over to my dad, who I saw it with first. I leaned over to him and I said, "This is my new favorite movie." And he and he said, "We're only 5 minutes into the movie." And I said, "I know."
The opening
And
sequence is just amazing. I mean, they essentially used like the test footage.
yeah,
They went through the same stuff that was in the test footage there, but that whole opening sequence, and just the jokes of I can't remember the exact quotes, but when they were saying produced by, I think it was like some guy or whatever, like you
yeah,
know, I'm
I
sure.
know I haven't been able to memorize those, but yes, yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. Just seeing him sort of make fun of everyone involved into the project,
Yeah. So
including himself.
that's cool that you learnt about it through the movies like that. And now, as you said, you've gone back and you started reading the comics. Let's
Hmm.
talk about your collection. Obviously, this is Collecting Heroes. We're here to talk about collections as well. When did you
Yep.
start collecting? Would you say you started collecting around the time of the first Deadpool movie, or before that as well?
Um, it's fascinating because my first piece to my collection was a collector's core blind box, and it came with a Funko Pop, a T-shirt, and like a couple other things. But at the time, I didn't really have an idea of wanting to collect. It's just
Hmm.
I got something for my birthday or Christmas or whatever, and I like I made the mistake of taking the Funko out of the box and like setting it out by itself. And luckily the box never got damaged, so now it's sitting nicely in the box. But I didn't really have any intention on being a collector at first. It's just over the years of people finding out that I like the movies and the character, that for Christmas or my birthday or someone would just find a T-shirt and they would get it for me, or I would see something cool and I would go to the store and get it myself. And eventually I just kind of gave in and I said, all right, I am a collector. And within the past few years, it's just uh, I've kind of dove pretty deep into it.
I definitely can see that. I mean, we're talking on video chat, and anyone who talks to me on video chat can see part of the Batcave in the background. But I'm seeing the I don't know what I call them fan caves. Do you have a name for your collection or for this space?
Yeah, I call it the nerd room because my girlfriend, she has like a gaming setup in here as well. So between her and me, we just call it like the nerd room because it's just where either of us come in here and do nerd stuff, basically. And
Nice, nice. Well, I can see obviously, your section of the nerd room has quite a lot of red in it, and
yes,
specifically, I think I can't remember the name, sorry, the number exactly, but on your Instagram, you actually mentioned that you have at the last count, it was over 500 pieces. Do you remember the number?
I think I updated it last night, and I think I'm at 562 unique items, and
Unique.
that might be growing. I'm going to a convention here in a couple weeks, so I'm sure it's going to be growing even more pretty soon.
And do you find that, like, because you said that people have bought you items over the years, do you find that these days people tend not to buy you items because they don't, because they're just like, what do you get for the person who has nearly every
Uh,
Deadpool released?
that's actually part of the reason that I started the Instagram is because people were saying like I want to get you like Deadpool gifts, but I don't know what you have, and I didn't have any other way that I could think of to have just a catalog of all of my collection other than Instagram. I'm sure there's better options, but Instagram just made the most sense at this point, and so now I can just tell my family members or friends or whoever that they can either send me a photo of it and say, "Do you have this?" In which I say yes or no.
Hmm.
Or if they want to surprise me, then I just say, "Hey, everything that I own is in my Instagram. So if you want to see, then it's very easy to go back and see."
Do you have a favorite item that you've been gifted?
Favorite item I've been gifted. Um, that's a good question. Because it's funny, like, most of my items are gifted. Uh,
Or one that stands out that
I,
you
I
maybe have
would
a funny memory of, even?
I feel like I would have to say my favorite is the first with the collector's core box because like that's just what started it all. Because from there, uh like I have things that have stood out to me. I have things that different people have bought me throughout the years that mean a lot to me.
Hmm.
But I think I would have to say that that first collector's core box because none of this would be here if it weren't for that first box and me deciding to just have this take on a life of its own.
Oh, that's a great answer. I think I noticed in one of your collection pictures where you actually showed the complete collection that you have quite a number of those boxes piled up down the bottom as well.
Hmm.
How are they all from different runs of Collector's Core, or have you got multiple of the same that you've put some aside?
They're all different ones. I try to stay away from duplicates, which I've thought like maybe I should have been buying duplicates and reselling them, but I don't know if I really feel like trying to get into that. But yeah, they're all those boxes are have all had different items come in through like collector's core, loot crate, or uh, just other kind of um, just collectors boxes.
Yeah, yeah. And then you also mentioned about the pop vinyls, the Funkos, where you took the first one out of the box. But it seems like you're
Mhm.
more of an inbox collector with your Funkos now.
I display them in the box, but I've dedicated myself that every Funko that I have, I definitely take them out of the box at least once or twice.
Nice, nice. I
And
have a portion of my collection that some of it remains in the box and some of it I take out of the box. For the majority of items, I tried to sort of do it based on value. So anything that on the Funko app or which I could see was a certain value when I purchased it. I tend to keep a lot of those things if they're over about $40 or $50. I tend to keep them in the boxes, except for the
yeah,
Batmobiles, which you can sort of see in the background here. Those Funko Batmobiles because they definitely cost a lot more than $50 for a couple of those. But I still got them on bargain. Like I say a bargain, but I spent over a hundred
yeah,
dollars on each of the red one and the
yeah,
gold one because they're more, more collector items are harder to get. I'm still trying to get the blue version of that actually, and
yeah,
that's the '66 Batmobile version. So I'm hoping to
yeah,
get that one day, and that will probably come out of the box as well. But from what I've seen, I need to pay somewhere in excess of I think $300 to $400 minimum. I think is the cheapest I've seen them for, and they're very rare
yep,
to come up for.
yep. They get up there. And I don't know, like I guess for me it's because especially they started adding things to the back of the Funkos, like little especially with the Deadpools, they'll have like little jokes, whether it's like his pants are on fire or he's holding like a knife behind his back, that I feel like I want to open up the boxes just to kind of pay more respect to the Funko for the extra work that they are now putting into them.
I had no
Uh
idea about the pants on fire thing. That's hilarious.
yeah. Yeah, that's part of like the backyard griller one where he comes with like a little mini grill and he has like a flamethrower.
Oh,
And
I've
yeah,
seen that.
if you
Yeah.
look at the back of the Funko, I've actually thought of reposting all of the pictures of my Funkos and like taking a 360 video of each Funko so you can see the back of a lot of these.
I do have a couple of the Deadpool Funkos myself, which I've taken out, and I didn't realize like that because the ones that I had didn't have anything special on the back of them. But I had
Yeah,
the
they just
the
started
Lazy
doing within
River.
the past.
Sorry,
Yeah, they just started doing within the past couple runs. They started doing some of that fun stuff to the back of them.
do you have a favorite Funko out of the collection as well?
Yes, definitely. It is one that I spent years trying to get, and I literally just got it a few weeks ago or a month ago. It's the Marvel Deadpool 20 Metallic Edition, Comic-Con 2013 exclusive,
Oh, I think I saw
where
that on your page actually. I thought that was one of your more recent posts on there.
yep, the I pretty much got it a couple days before making that post. Yeah, that one is hands down my favorite. I've been trying to get my hands on it for years. It's very rare. I think only 480 of them were ever made.
Oh wow, wow. And do you, speaking of rare, is there a grail item that you're still seeking out for your collection at the moment?
So actually, here's a funny thing. I've been hearing the term grail being used a lot lately, and I don't know if it's my ignorance or I don't know what, but what does that mean? I don't know what that
Oh,
means.
okay. No, that's all right. I mean, obviously, you're maybe newer to the collecting world. Grail item is essentially, something that you covet for your collection that you really want, like the perfect item that you want for your collection. That you it may be
Okay.
something that costs too much, or it's just like you said, like with the other one, there's only 480 pieces of it. Maybe it's something that it might
Okay.
not. It doesn't even have to cost a lot of money. It doesn't have to be rare. It just may be something that you absolutely love. But for you, it's the perfect one of the perfect items that you really want. But for most people,
Okay.
it tends to usually be either an expensive or a hard to find item.
Okay, yeah. No, I have a few of those actually. One of them is the metallic. Another one is the red chimichanga truck Funko Pop,
Oh yeah.
where that one I got for only 125 bucks, where normally people try to charge like 200 or more for it. And I got it so cheap because this person said that the corners were a little dinged up. So he said, I'll charge it a lot less because the corners are dinged up, and I pretty much got that right away. Otherwise, the only other thing is the Deadpool costume that I'm still in the process of trying to put together fully.
I did notice one that you had hanging up next to your collection as well.
Yeah, I haven't posted about it because I'm waiting for it to be fully assembled to start taking some photos in it and start wearing it to cons and whatnot. I've been working on it since February actually.
Have you been to a lot of the conventions?
I actually went to my first convention ever in March of this year.
Nice.
Uh, and pretty soon I'm trying to go to a Motor City Comic Con in Detroit
And
in a couple weeks.
what was your experience like at the first one?
I had a lot of fun. It was a tiny uh like smaller convention locally in my area. Uh and a lot of people beforehand were saying like, hey, it's not going to be that crazy, it's not going to be that fun, but we're going to take you to your first convention, and this will kind of be it to get your foot in the door.
Hmm.
And I went there and I saw all the people in costumes. They did like a costume contest. So many people were selling like some like Deadpool items I've never been able to get my hands on before. And I had a blast. And I remember walking out of there with my girlfriend and telling her we have to go to more. Like I don't know when, I don't know how. We have to go to more.
You mentioned before we started recording that you're a musician. I won't say what you do music wise, but um, you mentioned about liking sort of like heavier music, and one of the things that I used to love doing is go as a musician, which I've mentioned before on the podcast, is going to festivals. How would you compare it
Hmm.
to a festival? Because for me, I feel like there's like this shared love of coming together at festivals for different bands, and I felt the same sort of camaraderie when I first went to a convention. Obviously, you're geeking out a lot more about all these different things, but when you go to a festival, you're geeking about all the different bands that are there. And in cases, did you get a similar feeling?
Yeah, in a way. There's less drunk people fumbling their way around at a convention.
That's true.
Uh, um, but otherwise, yeah, it was it kind of had that familiar sense of like we are all here for the same thing. And it's just like when if you're in the crowd watching a show and you happen to be in or near a mosh pit, how people just have that mutual respect for each other,
Hmm.
where it's like we're all here for the same purpose, and we're all here to have a good time, and nobody's trying to ruin that for anybody else.
Some people may actually say that those larger conventions end up smelling a little bit like a mosh pit. You know, with some of the people.
I've heard. I I have yet to experience it myself, but in a weird way, I hope I do soon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope you get to go to a lot more conventions. That sounds cool, and I hope you get to go to the Detroit one. That'd be really cool as well.
Yep.
So let's go back to your collection again. I'm looking at stuff in the background, and I'm noticing because these days they'll Marvel will slap Deadpool or Logan or whoever. It's about any item. I spoke about this with the Wolverine collector that I had actually because we spoke about some of the odd
Hmm.
items that they've brought out. I'm seeing Monopoly in the background and all sorts of things. Is there an odd item that you have in your collection that someone gifted you and you were just like, I can't believe they actually made this? Is there anything like that?
Um, if gifting, we want to say someone found it and then I bought it, was It was a Deadpool adult film,
Oh,
uh, and I found it at, we'll say it's an adult store nearby, and someone pointed out to me because they knew that I like Deadpool. They pointed out that someone made a Deadpool adult film, and the second I saw it, I didn't care what that price tag was on it. I was like, I gotta be the Deadpool collector that has this in their collection because I will be the only, if not one of very few that has
and which other characters did they use? If you don't mind me, I'm not sure if you've watched. I'm
it.
gathering you've watched it. What other characters
I I,
cool
I
did you?
had to watch it. I had to watch it at least once, just because I was like, why not? I bought it, might as well. They had like uh Domino from the comics and Domino from the movie. They had the Punisher, Elektra, and Cable and Lady Deadpool.
Okay, okay, all right. Well,
Yeah,
that sounds
it was
like
very interesting.
an interesting
Very
movie.
interesting film.
I mean, look, I wouldn't recommend a Deadpool movie to any young children, and definitely, that we're just
Yeah.
falling into the same trope.
Yep. Yep. Pretty much.
And well, speaking of all the different characters as well, we know, like from the start, we mentioned about Hugh Jackman Wolverine is coming to Deadpool 3, and we had
Hmm.
a lot of great cameos in Deadpool 2. Is there anyone that you would have, other than obviously Wolverine, because he's already been announced? Is there anyone who you think would be great to have as a cameo in Deadpool 3 that would be the perfect cameo for you?
Trying to think because like there's one that I would really like to see, but I don't know if they'll do it. It's because partially because I want them to have their own movie is Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Oh
So
yeah.
it would be really cool to see Spider-Man make a cameo, but in all honesty, I want an entire separate Spider-Man Deadpool like either movie or a Disney Plus miniseries or something. Those are two people that I would love to see on screen together. I actually just finished the Spider-Man Deadpool comics recently, and I loved every single minute of it. And
I didn't even realize that they did it as a like a team up in the comics. How long was that
yeah,
run going for?
it was 50 issues.
Nice, nice. And that's only just finished now, or like or was that from a couple of years back?
That finished in 2019, I think. Uh, so they started it before the first movie came out, and they finished it way after the second movie came out. So there's references to both of these movies throughout this series, and that was kind of weird because I read the entire series as a whole, issue to issue, and it was kind of crazy seeing one issue they dedicated the entire thing to Deadpool celebrating that he's getting a movie. And then a later issue was him mentioning, "Oh, now we're getting a sequel."
Oh, cool.
And I was like, "Man, this series ran on for a while." That's really cool to see though.
That is really cool. I had no idea that they did a team up. So, I mean, I would love to see that. I think I agree with you. I'm not sure if they do it only because maybe Disney and Marvel Entertainment might want to keep Spider-Man more sort of PG to the
Hmm.
children's audience, and keep a little bit of that separation happening there. A lot of people were worried, obviously, when Disney acquired Fox, and when Deadpool originally went over, that would
Hmm.
tame the character a lot. Did you have a lot of concerns about that as well?
I was very concerned. Ever since the first movie was first that leak got out and they started announcing things and they didn't announce like the rating yet and I kept saying like on a daily basis almost like please let it be rated R. Please let it be rated R. when they finally announced it, I was like, yes, we got ours. And then the second movie was coming around, and I was like, they have to make it rated R. Like there's not really much doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And then yeah, when Disney got Fox and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, that's when they came out with Once Upon a Deadpool, where they kind of turned Deadpool 2 into like this PG-13 movie.
Hmm.
And I thought to myself, like, that's really cool to convince Disney that Deadpool can be in a PG-13 movie, but I hope it doesn't convince them so much that they think that Deadpool 3 needs to be PG-13.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And so I don't think there's, especially with the announcing of Wolverine coming back, I don't think that they're even gonna make jokes about it being PG-13. There's no way it can be.
Yeah. I'm thinking also, well, that made me think, because they've done this great campaign around Hugh Jackman coming back and the Ryan Reynolds like clips that they've been releasing online. And I was just remembering all the awesome and amazing marketing that they did. Even from like the massive billboards with the emoji, where it had
Yeah,
the skull, was it skull, the uh,
this is
poo emoji and the
this
L,
is
wasn't it?
Skull the Poo. Yeah, yep.
And then a heap of other awesome, amazing things. I think it was even when Deadpool 2 came out. I want to say that they redid a heap of covers. I was in a place called JB Hi-Fi here in Australia, which is a massive retailer of games and audio, like was like games, TVs, and a lot of DVDs and CDs and things like that. Even though they're not as popular these days, but that was where you used to go to get all your DVDs and CDs. And I remember going
Yeah.
in there and seeing that they redid a lot of covers for all these classic movies that they were
Yes.
putting out. And have you got those DVDs with the different covers as well as part of your collection?
Yeah, actually, I just got them earlier this year. 'Cause, like in 2018 when Deadpool 2 came out, uh, I I I wasn't fully a collector yet, and so I kind of strayed away from them. I looked at them at Walmart and kind of thought like, oh, these are cool, but I'm not gonna buy these because I wasn't a collector at the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then earlier this year, I managed to scramble all of them up on eBay and whatnot, and yeah, I have those are all of the DVDs that are like sitting on one of the top shelves
Oh,
that I have one
yeah.
of my action figures sitting
Do
on.
you have a favorite
But
movie like cover version as well?
that, ironically enough, Logan. I like how the little baby hand is like grabbing Logan's hand. That's my favorite
Roy, I normally do, for some of the collectors that come on here, I do a bit of a pop quiz. You may have heard me do that with Cayman in the Toy Story episode that you mentioned you listened to. I'm not going to make you do a pop
one.
quiz. You're looking a little bit nervous. It's all right. There's
Yeah.
no pop quiz for
I
you
mean,
today.
if you want to hit me with it, then I'm cool with it.
Oh, well, I haven't prepared one, so just
Okay,
to be
okay.
fair. But I did want to do something that I was trying to do with the Star Trek collector Liz that I had on, a bit of a rapid fire question. So I've just got sort of five quick questions that I wanted to fire at you, and you just answer them nice and quick. If you want to expand with a couple sentences, you can, but otherwise we'll keep the answers nice and quick. Are you cool with that?
Yep, I can do that.
All right. So first off, favorite Deadpool movie, one or two?
One.
Okay. Favorite side character in the movies?
Uh, I'd have to. It's either Juggernaut or Cable.
Okay. Okay. Favorite Ryan Reynolds movie that's not Deadpool?
Free Guy.
Nice. That's a good one. I love that movie actually. That was a lot of fun to watch. Next one. Favorite mutant?
One favorite mutant. Um. Oh no. Uh, I don't want to name a basic one. I'm gonna say Legion.
Legion.
A friend of mine told me about Legion recently, and that kind of fascinated me.
Explain to people what Legion is and me.
From what he told me, it's kind of like Moon Knight, where he has multiple personalities, but each personality has a different superpower.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna have to check that
Yeah.
one out. That sounds cool. That sounds like a really cool one that they could make into a TV show as well.
The funny thing is they did. I think they did like one or two seasons or
Oh
something,
no,
and
no,
it
no! You're
and
right. You're right. I did. I saw
yeah.
that. It had Aubrey Plaza in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I did. I have seen that. He's the son of Professor X, I'm sure.
Yes. Yep.
I
I
do.
think so.
I
I
do
haven't
know who you're
watched
talking
it.
about.
It's
I do know who you're talking
yeah.
about now. Actually, now that you said it, it's completely just. I forgot that I even watched that series because there's been so much Marvel stuff that's come out.
Yeah, no kidding.
And lastly, your favorite Marvel movie that's not Deadpool.
It's not Deadpool. It's a toss up between Spider-Man No Way Home and Avengers Endgame.
Nice, nice. And I would have to say, ooh, out of those, mm, I think Endgame. I think out of those two, I would probably have to go with Endgame as well. No Way Home was
Yeah.
really cool. I do love the Spider-Man movies. I also am a huge fan. For me, on a personal level, I'm a huge fan of the original Iron Man movie, just because
Yeah.
the way that
So,
set up the whole thing, and,
yep.
and I love
Where it
Robert
all
Downey Jr.
began. Mhm.
Before we wrap up, is there any item in your collection that you like? If you had to get rid of your whole collection and keep one item, what would be the one item you would keep?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh man.
It's a
That
difficult
one
question, isn't it?
it is. It is because the thought of getting rid of my collection like hurts my heart a little bit to begin with.
I know
I
it's a cruel question.
it I think I would have to say one of the drawn photos that my girlfriend gave me. It's a replica of like the crayon drawing that he did in Deadpool 1 on the bridge.
Oh,
She
cool.
she remade that for me and I framed it. And I think that uh I think that if I had to only keep one item, it'd have to be that because it has sentimental value between me and her as well.
That is a great answer and the perfect answer if she listens to this episode as well.
Yeah.
But that is cool. Anyway, Roy, as I said, yeah, I've had a great time chatting with you, and I always get people to plug their socials at the end. So if people want to go and find this awesome collection, where do they go?
Basically, I just have the one social media dedicated to my collection on Instagram. It is the underscore Deadpool underscore collection.
Nice, nice. Definitely, people should go and check it out and give you a follow because I think yeah, it's amazing collection. I look forward to seeing more of it. But thank you again for taking the time to talk Deadpool with me and to be on the show. I've had a lot of fun.
Yep, I had a lot of fun being on this, and I'm like it was a lot of fun just talking to someone about this. I usually have to kind of hold back when talking about Deadpool. So it was nice just to have an unfiltered, I can talk about my collection with you.
I'm glad. I'm glad. You should never have to filter your fandom. You should always be free to get that out there and talk to people about it.
I agree.
If you liked the episode, please consider following or subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also join me on Instagram at Collecting Heroes, where you can see photos of the collections of the people that I'm talking to, as well as some of my own.